Hello and welcome everybody to Join Dota League season number 3. It's gonna be game 2 of MiTH Trust versus Zero Latitude in this 2-game series. MiTH Trust, man, they had kind of an iffy lineup, at least for what Zero Latitude had in return. But they were able to just make it work for them and just snatch the victory away from Zero Latitude's hands. But we'll see if game number 2 is gonna be any different. We are of course HeflaTV, I am Coucher, and I am joined by Mr. Blackadder.
Afternoon.
So any thoughts about the last game?
Well, going into this one, I see Lycan being banned. Hopefully. At least, I hope, hands down, since we saw how powerful the Lycan could be. But then again, MiTH Trust, they can handle and deal with the Lycan, so they might leave it out for that one respect alone.
Of course, a tire side Lycan can be a lot scarier, and of course MiTH Trust being able to get 2 out of the 3 Roshians that actually happened during the game, just getting the Aegis and the cheese as well, might have been something that just allowed them to take fights a little bit more favorably for them.
I'd completely agree, and all it would take is 1 or 2 more Roshans to have gone Zero Latitude's way, and they could certainly have balled out of control in that game. But we just didn't see the Death Ball come online at any point. But Lycan didn't get as much gold, and he went for, I want to say, questionable item choices instead of aggression or push. Equally, we saw the Death Prophet just get shut down. And we do see the Lycan banned out here by Zero Latitude. They don't want to run it, and they don't want to give it to MiTH Trust.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to actually stop that hero. I mean, we did see at least 1 set of racks still going down in the favor of Zero Latitude as well last game. Just by the end of it, like 5 minutes before the end, maybe even less. So, I mean, just stopping the Lycan is gonna be hard, even if you're winning the game actually. But Zero Latitude starting with a Doombringer. The Brewmaster is once again available for MiTH if they want to go for it now. As is Shadow Shaman, Death Prophet, or Razor Brewmaster. Not too shabby at all.
No, not at all. The problem though here is the Razor takes around 25 minutes to come online to get that Aghanims, to get towards that refresher, which is, in a lot of people's opinion, the big problem with the Razor: time. You need to buy the Razor time to be able to come online. Equally though, the Brew can certainly do that, brings control, brings damage to the table in terms of early game. But flip side of that coin, you've now got what is potentially the most powerful combination in all of 6.81, Doom Shadow Shaman.
Wow, and just the Doombringer overall throughout any stage of the game is such a huge hero. His ability with his ultimate to just shut down anybody, no matter how many items he has, just completely shut down out of the fight pretty much. Razor, of course, once he has his Eye of the Storm activated, even while doomed, has the ability to do some counter damage, of course. So that's gonna be one good side for them, but Shadow Shaman offering the additional push, even more lockdown, just immediate hex onto the Brewmaster maybe once he blinks in, and then against the Doom and the Shadow Shaman now, the Brewmaster might even be at a point where he blinks in but doesn't even have the time to go for the Thunderclap, just forced to go straight up Primal Split.
Well, he's going to have to, otherwise he's just going to get A, doomed, or B, hexed. That's going to be the end of it for the Brewmaster if that happens. But as we go into this game, Zero Latitude, they've opted to ban the AA and the Bat Rider, and I like the ban on the Bat considering how powerful MiTH Trust have been in previous seasons, in previous tournaments with the Bat Rider. Equally though, MiTH have banned themselves the Earthshaker and the Nature's Prophet, and I like the ban on the Earthshaker here for the sole purpose of Shadow Shaman ES is one of the most devastating support combos, with the exception of Earthshaker and Skywrath Mage in 6.81.
Yeah man, Skywrath Mage Earthshaker is really devastating. With Zero Latitude, they pick up a Lich as their secondary support now. That of course allows to free up their laning a little bit. Just run double dual lanes for example, maybe just Lich +1 on the off lane. So, in that case, it's good. Ice Armor helps against the Razor Static Storm, of course. But what do you actually make of that hero pickup here?
The Lich I like. The Lich I do certainly like for the sole purpose of the Ice Armor. The Ice Armor on the Doom patches the Doom's armor hole early game, which means he then can tank up against the physical damage, which could potentially be his death otherwise. Also, of course, Chain Frost, brilliant spell, especially when you've got the Shadow Shaman there to bring some CC to the table. But the flip side of this coin, we do see MiTH Trust pick up the Visage. The Visage could be a very powerful pick if he can take part of these fights. And now we get the Skywrath here for Zero Latitude. So this Lich is either going to be an offlane or a mid-Lich, and I haven't seen a mid-Lich in a long time.
Well, I actually think it's probably going to be a mid-Skywrath then. I know Navi they're pretty much the first games that they came out with against Virtus Pro, again with their new lineup. They just ran Dandy mid Skyref twice in a row. So
True, but has that change already happened in the Asian scene? Are they going to throw that Skywrath into the mid lane, or is it going to be the Skywrath Shadow Shaman roaming combo that we've come to know in 8.1?
oh, it's hard to say. Although I want to say I would rather see the Skywrath mid than the Lich. Just Skywrath has probably an easier time in the lane. He's a bigger lane pool a little bit. Although Lich with the Sacrifice and Frost Blast is pretty damn annoying as well.
The one thing I'll point out about that Lich with the Frost Blast, the secondary targets hit by the Frost Blast, I believe, take enough damage to give the Visage Soul Assumption stacks.
Oh, that's actually... that's a pretty good point, to be honest. But MiTH Trust, they do finish their own draft with a Death Prophet. I was thinking like either side could have gone for it, especially MiTH. So... they have now two heroes actually that, once they already have their ultimates activated, even getting doomed isn't as horrible anymore all of a sudden. But will this Death Prophet be as shut down as Zero Latitude's was last game? But for judging by Zero Latitude's heroes, I highly doubt it at the moment.
So do I, and Zero Latitude, they have team fight, they have ability to pick off single targets. Problem here, all of the lineup of Zero Latitude are relatively A, low armor, B, squishy. Death Prophet will chew them to pieces, especially when there's a Visage throwing soul assumptions left, right, and center. And this Visage was a direct counterpick in some respects to this Lich. I mentioned the Frost Blast will give the Lich soul assumption stacks for the secondary targets hit. Yes. Also, you consider Lich, low HP, as I mentioned. Shadow Shaman will die to 2 soul assumptions. Skywrath made very much the same problem. Then you got Death Prophet, who will also be generating a lot of soul assumption stacks. I would not be surprised to see this Visage be a 4-roll Visage flat out and go for a very early capacity in the way of Aghanim Scepter.
Yeah, it's actually... they overall have a pretty huge amount of AoE damage, as well as just burst. Crypt Swarms, Fate Bolts, Brewmaster coming in with a Blink Thunderclap, Plasma Field from the Razor. So the Visage definitely, like I mentioned, just... he's most likely gonna get Soul Assumption after Soul Assumption with full charges on them as well at the same time. But Zero Latitude, they finished this with a Weaver, and I have to say I am not a huge fan of that pickup here.
No, I would completely agree. It is very squishy into this lineup, and you consider there's already Death Prophet's Silence. You've got the control from a Brewmaster. It's going to be a case of if he steps one step out of position, he is going to be squashed like the bug he is.
Yeah. Literally just Weaver. I understand that hero pickup up against Razors, because you can just completely run out of the static link. But just the squashing part, like you mentioned, man, it's gonna be real in this game potentially. I mean, even if he goes for Link and Sphere, there's a reasonable amount of things, I guess, from MiTH Trust to take it off. So, does he really need to go BKB in this game then?
The Weaver?
Yes.
I should think we're going to see, at least I would hope to see, considering how squishy this Weaver is this game, a Medallion into the BKB build instead of the Lincolns into the Desolator build. He cannot survive without a BKB, not in this game. You consider you've got Razor walking around who is a mobile bug zapper. You've got the nuke damage of A, the Fade Bolt, B, the Crypt Swarm, C, the Soul Assumption, and D, the Thunderclap. Do you really want to be on the receiving end of that?
I would highly doubt it. If he does, he has some serious issues other than just being squashed. But at the moment, to go over the lineups again, for Zero Latitude, Bramizi will be playing the Weaver. He was on the Lycan last game around. Spika, however you want to pronounce it, is up on the Lich, leaving Vance to play the Skyref Mage mid lane with Suragan, Lontong up on the Doombringer and Lavida on the Shadow Shaman.
The one thing I'll mention about Zero Latitude's lineup is they are fairly flexible. I mean, the Lich, he could have been a tri-lane support or an off-lane. The Brewmaster could be mid or off-lane. The Doom, sure, he's going to be safe lane farming, but the supports are interchangeable between Lavida, the Skywrath, and the Lich. So you could have put the Shadow Shaman mid, for example, if you wanted early wards.
Yeah, it definitely could have been possible, but I guess you can go over MiTH Trust as well for those who just tuned in or want to be remembered.
In the meantime, on the flip side of the coin, for the lineup of MiTH Trusts, we've got SD on the Visage. We've got Noki reprising his role from game 1 as the Rubik. We've got KTY, this time on the Brewmaster, last time on the Centaur. Over in the mid lane, we have MyPro on the Death Prophet, their mid lane specialist. And finally, rounding up the lineup, we've got Lakels, this time on the Razor.
Yeah, I mean, this bottom lane definitely should favor the Weaver and the Lich together. Especially once the Frostblast comes in, so Lich, when he hits level 2. Lakels might put 1 point into Unstable Current early on as well, just to be able to outrun them if need be, as well as getting the Purge onto the Lich every time he tries to just nuke you.
I'd agree with that. A point in Unstable Current, I think, would be wise. And in the meantime, you can just see the static lane trying to take some damage away from the Weaver. But it's still a lane that is... It is basically a modified version of Goblak's genius. The original lane for the Weaver was the Weaver Treant that Goblak created. Quite a scary one, if all memory serves. The Lich is just a variant on this. Instead of having the living armor to mitigate straight damage, you gain physical armor instead, as well as the slow, so it punishes any right-click into Brumisi. It's an interesting modification on it, and it does work, and we've seen it work in the past, during TI, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can work, and Lich Ice Armor, of course, will be also helpful against the Exorcism later on along the way. So, it has multiple uses, of course. But top lane, SD, look at this positioning. He's serving as a human ward at the moment, just to make sure that the camp is blocked.
Indeed, but now you get the rotation in onto KEYT, and you've got to consider Zuragan does have a stolen ensnare here, but I don't think they're going to go for the potential initiation onto the Brewmaster off the back of this one. Sure, they've got a lot of CC available to them, but right now, the Brewmaster is just too damn tanky, and you consider he could go for the more European-style build here, where you get early points into the Drunken Brawler more so than the Drunken Haze. Generally, we
bottom lane, Brumisi might be in trouble. Static Link is there for so long. One more right click, and yes, he goes down. Oh wow, that was actually a misplay by him. He saw Noki coming in on the Rubik. He used the Sukuchi and some right clicks to just harass the Rubik, but Rubik, wow, top lane or no, mid lane?
Yes, we did see a rotation from SD managing to blow up the Skywrath Mage.
But okay, just to finish up the point fast, what happened was he started harassing Noki quite a lot, but once the first Sukuchi ended, Noki popped down his sentry ward, got the telekinesis, he even had the illusion rune to body block the Weaver a little bit, and on the first level, the Sukuchi's cooldown is pretty long.
KTY
wow.
getting dove here by the Doom and the Shadow Shaman, and they will be able to finish it up with the Hellfire from the Doom. But a lot of early aggression that I didn't expect to see. Equally, aggression, Lakels does take some tower damage. Got to be careful around the tower here, since Bramizi and Speaker could so easily chase down the Razor in this case.
Yeah, it's definitely not too hard at the moment. Especially Razor actually didn't even go for a single point into Unstable Current, at least not yet. So doesn't have that extra movement speed to his disposal, but another Static Link, and he doesn't even want to really use the Sukuchi because he doesn't want to put it on cooldown.
But if he doesn't get away from it that quickly, you can see the 56 damage stolen here by Lakels is going to just let him dominate this lane. If the Static Link goes on the Weaver, he honestly needs to get it off of him as soon as possible. But in comes Bramizi, trying to do some damage, but it'll be a trade here. Speaker will not... Wow! He didn't get the last right-click off. I expected him to get the final right-click off and bring down the Lich, but doesn't quite manage to do so. But now you get the rotation in from Noki. Could he potentially find something here? He is level 3, can do a good amount with the Fade Bolt, but he won't be able to kill off Bramizi.
Yeah, I mean, that happened a lot faster than I actually expected, the Razor going down like that. And I was so positive that the last right click, the animation was to come out, but top lane La Vida might be trouble SD, Grave Shield goes out.
Especially now you got 4 charges of Soul Assumption ready to turn around, and now we could see a potential kill onto Zuragan if he's not careful. Then again, SD taking huge numbers of right clicks, and he will get cleaned up by this Doom. And the one thing about Doom, he is very damn quick across the field of battle.
Yeah, man, when he has the Scorch Surf, just so hard to bring him down. He has so much HP regen as well as the movement speed, like you just pointed out, and actually even went for Arcane Woods. I kind of like that pickup, but he might be in some trouble. Gets the Thunderclap, but he's so slow.
If he keeps getting body blocked, he will go down. But no, he should be more than fine at this point.
And he knows SD came in on as well. They have this lane ward, the Observer, down, so they know what's going on. But at the moment, Noki hanging around bottom lane, maybe just hoping for the Weaver to overextend a little bit.
The one thing that you mentioned about the Arcanes on the Doom, I raised the question, is the Arcanes necessary on the Doom, considering you'll have Arcanes present on La Vida, you'll have Arcanes present certainly on Vans on the Skywrath Mage. These are both heroes that pretty much rely on arcanes. Does the Doom then need arcanes, considering I mentioned Doom and I mentioned patching his armor hole? Shiva's Guard is an amazing item on him.
Yeah, I mean, Shiva's definitely wouldn't be bad, but maybe, just maybe, Vans actually isn't going for arcane boots this time around. I have seen some mid lane Skywrath mages just go for power treads, get the extra intelligence for maximizing the arcane bolt damage. So
Just
maybe
look
they
for the
actually
extra harass.
spoke it through like that.
That could be a good argument, but now you got SD coming in. Mystic Flare, however, completely airballs, and SD doesn't even shrug it off, and Soul Assumption will clean up the Skywrath Mage, but now you've got Zuragan rotating in, chopping apart SD, but there's too many heroes here. They're going to turn around. One Soul Assumption. Do they have enough to finish him off? No Crypt Swarm to fly, and Doom hobbles away on no HP, effectively.
And actually, Primal Split was used top lane. He throws Shadow Shaman in the air. I don't think he has enough, though.
He should do. If the Fire Panda can stay on target, that should be enough to burn down Levita with a couple more right clicks, especially when this ends, there'll be another Thunderclap, and that will clean up the Shadow Shaman. But now KYT needs to get the hell out of dodge. But in comes the Skywrath Mage. The Ancient Seal is there, and we get a pause.
Well, I think he's dead anyway. He even got hit by the Thunderclap. So...
yeah, he's not going to be able to escape this one, especially with the Ancient Seal down. That's pretty much the end of this.
it's going to be a horrible exchange in the end then. So it's like Shadow Shaman for a Primal Split and the kill on Brewmaster.
Yep, and the Shadow Shaman is level 4. That's a level 6 Brewmaster, so the extra experience here going the way of Zero Latitude.
So, I mean, 5-4, 7 minutes in, lots of kills happening already. My pro actually might be in some trouble as well. The supports are rotating in. Are they smoked up? No, they're not. But
Well, it
Concussion
doesn't
comes
matter.
through.
In comes the Concussive and the Ancient Seal. That should be more than enough to bring it down, especially when you commit the Chain Frost to slow him down. And the Frost Blast, the Lich, long-range specialist in this case, and finishes off that Death Prophet.
Well, I mean, to be honest, if there's an Ancient Seal on somebody and the Lich... I mean, even the Ether Shock from Shadow Shaman, they have a lot of magic burst, so... It is scary, but... It's scary mostly for one target, who just gets completely blown up immediately. So...
It's honestly up to Zero Latitude to keep focusing down that Death Prophet or the Razor in these fights by focusing down like that. If they blast one of the other targets, one of the supports, it'll be a waste of so much potential damage.
At the moment, just the one issue I see with the Chain Frost, for example, is they don't have any AoE lockdown like Black Holes, Chronospheres, maybe even the Magnet's Reverse Polarity or just Tidehunter Ravage. So there's a huge possibility that MiTH Trust, they will just be able to spread themselves properly once the Chain Frost comes out.
I should think so, and you consider MiTH Trust, they do have a fairly mobile team in terms of movement speed at least. Brewmaster will also have his Blink Dagger as well, so getting the hell out of dodge when a Chain Frost is thrown is entirely possible. But now it seems Zuragan is going to be the potential target here, and he does ping out the Visage Birds. He realizes, yep, that's a level 6 Visage, could potentially have the birds on top of him. And if he gets caught here by the Visage and the Brewmaster, he will go down fairly quickly. Equally though, so would Levita. These Visage Birds do a horrifyingly large amount of damage, and a lot of people do underestimate the power of the Familiars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping kind of for a medallion as well on the Visage to just boost it out even more, but oh, the smoke comes out. Who is gonna catch who?
That's a good question. You consider it's now a 3 versus 2 matchup. You get the Primal Split throw, and they're going to try to commit to Zuragan, but in comes a TP plus the supports from the back line. They can throw Doom, however, onto SD, and there should be a trade if they can finish off the Doom. But can the Brewmaster now get out of here? That is my big question. The Brew needs to escape, and Levita's right here. Shackles are there. KYT could get focused down, but he does manage to bring down the Shadow Shaman with the Visage Familiars, and he'll TP away. So that's a 2-for-1 trade. Not what I thought would happen, but nonetheless good for MiTH Trust.
I mean, I definitely didn't expect the Shadow Shaman to go down like that, but the Familiars just, like you said, they do a sick amount of damage, especially this early on, and not to be underestimated. So MiTH, they came out a little bit ahead there, of course, but I do like that the Doombringer actually doomed up the Visage there, making sure that the Soul Assumption doesn't finish him up immediately.
I'd completely agree with that one. And, well, it does not matter towards the mid-tower at this point, since now you've got Vans and Levita putting pressure. They've got the Serpent Wards down. Are they going to be able to defend this one?
They are slowly, at least my approach, just killing off the Mass Serpent Wards Lich. Wanted to come up close, he has the Chain Frost. So the combination of just Chain Frost and Frost Blast, that in itself, even if it gets only 1 bounce, the ultimate, it's so much damage. But the tower, it is kept alive for the time being. They got the tier 1 bottom lane themselves just before my pro TP'd in. So, at the moment, tower-wise, MiTH, they hold the advantage.
So, here's something that I do like to ask casters that I end up casting with. With the lineup of Zero Latitude, do you think we're going to see a Veil of Discord? Because I think that is an incredibly underrated item, and you consider the amount of magical damage available for Zero Latitude now. Do you think it's a possibility?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think if anybody's gonna pick it up, it's most likely gonna be the Lich.
I'd agree with you on that one. But a Veil here would be a good investment in my mind, but it's such a rarely seen item.
Oh, and top lane, actually, they get the slow and silence onto the Brewmaster. They need a little bit extra though. They get the Hex. Will the Shackles follow? Yes, they will. Mystic Flare is somehow still alive, but in the end, he does fall.
And now in comes Lakel's though, and now they're going to be able to turn this one around. MyPro comes in to boot, but do they have the damage? Lakel's is too low to really commit anything else to this fight, and you can see the mass fallback from the side of Zero Latitude. They do not want to hang around and potentially give the Death Prophet kills.
Oh man, and Doombringer trying to chase down Noki at the moment as well. Never mind, he's going to back off completely. But looks like Doombringer is going to be the one to build the mech for their team, so I guess the Arcane Boots will just help him sustain his mana pool through the mech. Otherwise, if Doombringers go for mech, like Face Boots, mech or something, they actually run out of mana pretty damn fast, so maybe that was the initial reasoning behind it. But coming back to the Veil for a second, it could be great, but they still might run into the same issue I was talking about the Chain Frost before, that people just kind of run away from the magic damage.
True, they do. But there's other sources than just that Chain Frost. That's the entire reasoning. A Veil, if you're the only one on the team benefiting from it, not that good, but the entire team gets it here. And now Zuragan is going to be engaged on here by Lakel's and by the Primal Split. You've got the hero thrown up into the air on the back foot. Equally, Zuragan will TP out to safety. What else can they find? On the back foot, you've got Ramizi finding the Visage, which is a pretty damn big kill. Equally, though, Lich getting chased down, and Skyreth Mages as well. But now comes a turnaround, Chain Frost to go down, and the entire side taking some good damage, but the Chain Frost taken away by the Visage Familiars. Brilliant micro there by that. Equally, though, Vans will try to TP out and take a fall from the Kells. The only one still in this fight is Bramizi, and he's trying to Saguchi around doing what he can. But now comes back the Doom. We have Doom to go. Are we going to see the aggressive play from Zuragan that we expected in game number 1? I don't think he's going to want to commit to this one, and rightfully so. They're so far behind at this point, and Noki has Saguchi himself, and the supports are here in favor of MiTH right now. And now they're going to go for Bramizi, and he will get obliterated. Doom being thrown, but are they going to be able to pick up the kill off the back of that? I don't think so. It's a Doom thrown for nothing.
Well, that's always good if you're MiTH at the moment, if the Doom just gets used for absolutely nothing. They actually
Completely
did lose
agree.
one familiar as well. Was a little bit of a miss micro. He was hovering just over the trees but was in vision. But I mean, just the Doom off cooldown now. MiTH Trust. Their Exorcism is gonna be off cooldown in 20 seconds or so. He has a regeneration rune as well. Kind of fortunate for him. So with the Doom being on cooldown, the Chain Frost as well. Is this the time to push for MiTH now?
I think so. This is their biggest opportunity. But they need the Exorcism, and that's only available in 9 seconds, so they're going to easily get this tier 2 if they stay for this one. And you can see how much damage Vaughn's takes. This is what I was saying in the draft. The lineup from Zero Latitude is so squishy. It is beyond squishy.
How do they survive? I mean, there's a mech now for the Doombringer at least, so
That'll
it will help a little bit, but if any target almost, apart from the Doombringer I guess, gets hit by all the spells at the same time, he goes down before there's even any time for the mech to come out. But Exorcism level 2 comes out. Ice armor is there on the tower. It's level 2 actually as well, so plus 5 armor. So
It'll
it's
slow it
slowing down
down,
the push.
but it's still going to fall if they're not careful. In the meantime, Lakel's is going to TP to the middle lane, but we do get aggression on the back foot. In comes KYT, looks to bring down Vaughn's, but almost gets killed for his efforts here. One more Arcane Bolt will do it, but the Visage creeps manage to kill off that Skywrath on the back lines. However, mid lane, this is another trade going on. Lakel's trying to hold this tier 1. It's going to go down to the Mass Serpent Wards in my mind, especially when you've got Bramizi finishing it off with a Geminite attack. But it's going to be a tier 1 for a tier 2 here. And that's always going to favour MiTH Trust when they're getting that tier 2 tower down. Especially when it's the most important tower on the Dire side. The tower that gives them the quickest TP into the Roche pit.
And not only that, they also get the kill on the Skywrath. Brewmaster of course just barely making it out from that fight. But doesn't matter how low your HP is, unless, or not unless, but until you get out. But at the moment, another Silence of the Weird. He got the Sukuchi first. But 11 to 8, 15 minutes in. I mean, just looking at the graphs, it's almost a 7,500 gold lead for MiTH. XP, about 3,500, nearing 4,000. So they are looking good at the moment in Zero Latitude. Just the mid Skywrath Mage It didn't snowball at all.
No, it's not paid off at all. He just does not have the survivability to avoid this burst. Equally though, burst going through the way of Noki, and they will manage to bring down the Rubik off the back of this one, but now you get the turnaround, and look how quickly the Lich explodes. There is just so much magical damage with SD on that Visage. Are they now going to turn around for Bramizi? 1 stun, 2 stuns, as well as the Crypt Swarm, but now you got Doom charging in. Zuragan wants to fight, and Zuragan has Doom.
Yeah, but unfortunately just can't really catch up at the moment. It's all good and well to have the Arcane Boost to just sustain your mech and all of your spells, just spamming out level def, for example. But your movement speed definitely isn't the best, so you're relying heavily on the Scorched Earth to just get you in and out of fights. So when that's on cooldown, overall their lineup doesn't have too much chasing potential apart from just the Weavers scooching through.
In the meantime, everyone gets caught. High ground advantage the way of MiTH. You can see the double kill off the back of an Ether Shock and a Plasma Field. That's the end of that. And now they're going to find Zuragan as well with the Eye of the Storm. He has no chance of surviving. On the meantime, high ground, you've got Speaker throws the Chain Frost, doesn't bounce at all. And the doomed KYT wants to come back in for the fight, but it's not needed. Plasma Field cleans up another. And that's a 4-0 trade for the MiTH Trust.
Wow, they just ran into certain death, and even though it's your own jungle, going up the hill without any vision there, it must be scary, and they just felt the full brunt of it. 3-man Thunderclap, I do believe it was, before he got doomed up. So, I mean, there wasn't a primal split, but in the end, it actually favored MiTH that he wasn't able to activate that. And the Doom, of course, getting stolen by Noki as well, man. They get the tier 2 just so easy. Probably not gonna pressure high ground, but they're taking way too big of a lead at the moment, and Zero Latitude, they must be feeling the pressure.
I should certainly think so. There is just so much damage coming out of MiTH Trust now. Zero Latitude are really on the clock, and you consider this is a 12,000 gold lead. It's a 10,000 experience lead. Zero Latitude are really on the clock to make something happen. And we consider what items are coming up for MiTH. They're working on either the BKB or potentially the Aghanims for Lakels. SD on the Visage has components to an Aghanims coming up. The big items, the tier 2, tier 3 items are coming online for MiTH. And if they come up, it's going to be all over. And Noki will, however, get burst down immediately, but in comes the Mass Serpent Woods, in comes the defense. They go straight onto SD, try to take the Soul Assumption out of the fights, but in the backlines, in comes Lakels. They will finish off the Skywrath Mage, and the Primal Split, of course, by the Panda will be enough to finish off Levita as well. So that's going to be a 2-for-2 trade. But in comes the Doom. Doom thrown to Lakels. But is there enough damage here to finish off Lakels off the back of that Doom? Speaker is here, and then Bramizi will finish off the Razor. Equally though, KYT going to be able to TP out. Surely no. Level Death cancels that, and now they're looking for more. Can they finish off this brew? Can they get a 3rd kill off the back of this one? Certainly I think they can if they can hit him, and they certainly do. It's a triple kill for Bramizi.
Yeah, and actually Lakels, he bought back for that as well on the Razor, but I'm not too sure if he thought they have the tier 1 mid lane or what, but he bought back and actually didn't even make it back into the fight. So that was a better exchangement for Zero Latitude. Of course, it definitely wasn't something like MiTH Trust gained a couple of minutes before, like a 4-0. And now Zero Latitude, they are kind of spent. It's just all of their items on cooldown apart from the Chain Frost as well as the Mythic Flare, which is still only level 1. So they will lose the tier 2, it looks like, even though the Ice Armor is on it. But Blink is there on the Doombringer, so next time around, he can maybe just get the jump on the Brewmaster or the Razor before they get their ultimates up.
I completely agree. And Roshan, speaking of ultimates being thrown, Exorcism committed, they're going to be able to bring down and get this Aegis very quickly. One thing I will mention in terms of Zero Latitude's lineup, they're a very magic damage heavy and centric team who are now behind in levels. When you run a magic damage centric team, you need to maintain that level advantage, so you always have the damage edge. So far, Zero Latitude have not been able to hold that, and they've been losing so much in terms of these fights. Part of me wonders, is this game already sealed in terms of MiTH winning it? Or can Zero Latitude fight back into this, do you think?
I mean, they have a small chance, but their timing window is closing, and it's closing fast, especially since Lakel is most likely going for a BKB, which needs only a little bit more gold for... Oh, Noki wanted to force that forward. I don't know if he saw the Doom or not, but Doom got the blink out, but Lakel's... He's gonna have his BKB if that's his item choice.
He had vision from this ward here. He saw him going down in that direction.
Oh man, a little bit unfortunate. I mean, he was so close to his own BKB, the Death Prophet.
Doom, however, being thrown onto KYT now. He's not going to be able to fight into this one with a Primal Split, but it does not matter either way. He'll take a fall. But now there goes the Chain Frost, bouncing with the heroes. and it's going to go straight onto SD. One more hit on SD could be enough to bring him down. However, you get one soul assumption, but he's still standing. How is this Visage still alive? I suppose. Oh, all of the damage from Doom was stolen. That's 105 negative, and now you've got Lakelz coming in with that Eye of the Storm. The Doom just will evaporate. There is no chance for this, and it's a BKB on Lakelz, not an Aghanim Scepter. So that's a 2-3 for 1 trade in favor of Zero Latitude off the back of that, only losing the Doom.
I mean, it definitely favored Zero Latitude. It was really good for them. Could have gone a little bit better though, especially just killing out the Visage who was so damn low. I also thought that he's dead like 100%. I didn't even think about it twice. But damage being stolen, it's just a great ability that the Razor has, the static link. Although just starting off the fight, Death Prophet wasn't even in it. He got picked off before. Getting the Doom on the Brewmaster, so no Primal Split, Thunderclap, no nothing. I mean, it couldn't have gone any better for Zero Latitude, yet they still lost a hero. And, I mean, although it's good for them, I'm not sure if it's enough.
Well, in the meantime, you got Weaver continuing to be very aggressive, and Noki going to be here with the sentries to try to stop this Weaver's presence, but it's still a tall order here. You were saying you don't know if it's enough. I will agree with you. I don't know if Zero Latitude have done enough. I mean, we can look at the experience graph and just show the disparity right here. It's a 5,000 lead for MiTH. That came down from that 10k point, sure, but it's still a very steep hill to climb considering the 10,000 gold as well.
What? Promeasy? He went for a Maelstrom on the Weaver.
I'm not sure if I like that considering the other options here. You could go for the BKB and get some tank ability. You could go for the Desolator if you wanted sheer right click. I'm not sure if I like this pickup, and now you see the full commit from MiTH. They want this tier 3. And with the Exorcism down, now you got Promeasy being damage stolen with the static link. Did we have enough to turn this around? How much damage got stolen? That's the big question going into this. 84 damage, so tipped the scales a little bit considering this Weaver now has, I believe, around 0 damage. No, about 50 damage, a lot more than I thought, but still, the Maelstrom is just not going to be able to pay off in these fights. He's doing everything with Suguchi. He's not being able to right-click too much. They're going to force Lakelz to pop the Aegis, but now where's the turnaround? They need more. Speaker takes a large amount of physical damage, and the Soul Assumption will clean him up without even committing to the base. And now you've got a Doom on the backline, forces KYT out once more, and the fight starts to spiral out of control. All the BKBs being popped, and there is just no turnaround possibility here for Zero Latitude. They pick off 1, they pick off 2. One more right click will bring down Vans, but now you've got Zuragan. Buys back, gets back involved in this one, but he cannot stand versus that Razor. Triple kill for Lakelz before he goes down, and now you get the Primal Split. He's back into the fight. They obliterate the Skywrath Mage. Triple kill for SD as well. And everything just going wrong for Zero Latitude. They even find Levida inside the base. Promeasy, the only one still standing, but the racks are exposed. They can turn for the buildings at any point. Instead, no, Promeasy, telekinesis into the air. A couple more right clicks, and he just gets obliterated. Not a chance, and GG is called. MiTH dominating performance.
I mean, there were 3 buybacks from Zero Latitude, all the cores fought back, yet they were still able to kill only 2 heroes there. I mean, Lich just got the final kill now, but man, MiTH, they just showed how and why they actually hang on to the game in game number 1 as well and managed to win it, because just in game 2, they were just the better team here.
Indeed, they had such an advantage. They snowballed so quickly. It was a brave draft from Zero Latitude, but the team, as we mentioned, was just so fragile.
So guys, this is actually going to conclude it for us for today as well, I think. It was a 2-0 victory for MiTH, just second game flowing through it, but thank you so much for watching, and of course, if you liked what we did, be sure to follow us on HeflaTV, on the English channels HeflaTV1, HeflaTV2 and HeflaMoke on Twitch, as well as our social media, HeflaTV for everything. You can find all the links below the stream as well. And of course, huge thanks to Mr. Blackadder for casting with me, and where can people find you?
They can find me at Mr._Blackadder on Twitch and Twitter, and the same everywhere, and I look forward to casting with you in the future, Couch.
It will most likely happen indeed. So guys, just a few songs now to finish up the stream, and hopefully to see you another time.